This is a story that I've wanted to tell for a long time, and one that, to be completely honest with you, I haven't been brave enough until now. Sharing a story of your own personal mental health struggles can be incredibly empowering for those who are going through their own. And that's my motivation as I share the one occasion in my life to date where I have faced a real challenge around my mental health. I hope that my openness and vulnerability is useful to anyone who is facing challenges of their own. And the culmination of my story should provide any such people with a positive outlook and loads of hope for the future. I'm going to start this story at its current end with my current state. I'm delighted to say that I'm in a fantastic place. I'm incredibly grateful for my health and happiness, and my relationships, my family and friends bring me so much joy, and my work as founder of the Football Fun Factory inspires me every day to keep striving for better. But it was back in 2017 when I faced a real challenge. I was working in a former job role in an organisation that I'd been part of for a very long time. I want to make it clear that any reference to where I worked and my experience at the time should bear no reflection whatsoever to the organisation, and especially the organisation that they've gone on to become today. I was failed by individuals with regards to supporting my mental health struggles, but I do not consider myself to have been failed at all in any way by the organisation. They are a fantastic organisation. 6 years ago, I was coming to the end of a long spell working for a professional football club. Having been part of the club from the ages of 19 to 29 years old, the club was absolutely ingrained within me. I was a massive part of the organisation and I loved the experience. In fact, I'd go as far as to say that the experiences that I gained over this period of my life have played a really big role in making me who I am today. For the final 12 months of my time at the club, I began suffering with some personal challenges and personal struggles. I had a wonderful life outside of work, but some changes to the way that I was working really hit me hard. Looking back, it was just a case of working so hard for so long, and everyone has a capacity. I was pushed, and it's fair to say that I pushed myself also to some pretty extreme lengths. I was worked to breaking point, and when I reached this point, it became the point for me of no return. So at this stage, I considered my future. And when stress and anxiety take over, it can do pretty strange things to you. It can change your whole state. Now, anyone who knows me well will understand that I have quite an obsessive and driven personality. So when I decided that it was time for a career change, I became pretty obsessed with instigating that change. And so I found myself in a cycle of becoming extremely anxious about my future, as my personal identity was so wrapped up in the organisation that I worked for. It was all I knew, and outside of my life with my family and friends, it was all that I was at that time. Knowing that it was time to go, I felt lost. And at the time, I didn't have the bravery or courage to speak to anyone, as so many people don't. Because of how I was feeling, my performance at the club that I was at suffered. At the club, I was revered for what I'd achieved over the years. I built a community football program and talent pathway that served the club in so many different ways. I had smoke blown up my backside by directors telling me what an amazing contribution I'd made over the years, and one once told me that I'd actually saved the club from liquidation from my efforts. I had been part of the club for such a long time, experienced so much over this time, but I knew that my future lied elsewhere. This stark realization led me to encountering situations that I had never faced before. I was supremely confident in my role and felt so comfortable in my own skin for 9 years, and then all of a sudden I lost all of my confidence. My overriding memory was my final few weeks going into meetings that I previously attended with high levels of self-esteem, but I was absolutely panicking, worrying, and my face was burning up when it was my time to talk. My confidence was shot to bits, my energy levels were low, and I had a permanent headache. A real cloud was hanging over me. My outlook was grim, and at that time I was lost. I went to see a doctor, I filled out a questionnaire, I talked through how I was thinking and feeling, and he registered me to attend a course to learn to manage my stress and anxiety that I was facing and suffering from. The course was on a Wednesday at 4 p.m. Now, I worked within an environment where for the last 9 years I'd been the first one in the office in the morning and the last one to leave at night because I loved it, but I chose to do that and those levels of hard work then became an expectation. Heading off on a Wednesday afternoon without causing suspicion just wasn't really an option. It would have been so abnormal for the culture at the time that everyone would just wonder where I was heading. So I went to my superior at the time and told them why I needed to leave on a Wednesday at 4 o'clock for the foreseeable future. Their response was, "Okay, thanks for letting me know." The follow-up was non-existent. Not once was I asked if I was okay. I wasn't. Nobody else was made aware of my circumstances, and following my bravery to pluck up the courage to let someone into what was going on in my life and a situation that was caused by my work did nothing. I'm actually quite a resilient person, and even though I was struggling, I was level-headed enough to know that I would overcome the challenge. But that doesn't mean that I didn't need support. At that time, I desperately needed support, and other than the support provided by the NHS, I didn't get any. I was at a loss to understand why the person who I confided in did nothing. Perhaps their understanding of mental health wasn't mature enough to understand that I needed help. I don't know. But their failure to take any action or show any empathy hit me like a punch in the stomach. I'd given my blood, sweat and tears to a football club. I'd achieved so much for them, often with very little in return, and my mind was made up. I was gone. Not long after, I handed in my notice, and it was the best decision I ever made. I got myself better, and I overcame the challenge, and I learned so much from going through it. And you know what? I'm glad it all happened, because it made me who I am today. It actually made me start the Football Fun Factory. It made me understand that I have a duty to others, as I knew that others had failed me. There was no way that following this experience that I as a leader would fail anyone under my stewardship. The happy ending to this story is that I created the Football Fun Factory. I did so to bring happiness and joy to the lives of children and their families. But a big driver for me is also the happiness that our franchise brings to our head coaches. Now, many of them have completely transformed their lives by becoming a franchisee. They've increased their earning potential, they've improved their work-life balance, and now live life on their terms. Some of them have exited jobs and careers where they simply weren't happy, and now they are. My ability to set my own schedule, to be my own boss, and be in control of my own destiny is a big factor in my current state of mind. I have the best mental health that I've ever experienced throughout my entire life. I have gratitude and a sense of perspective, and despite the challenges of running a fast-growing business, I love every single day. And so I want people to know that whatever your circumstances, whatever your current circumstances, the future is bright. Whatever challenges you're facing, you will overcome them. And what's more, one day you'll be thankful for them. For anyone in a dark place and for anyone that's struggling, you will make it through. And my advice is to be brave enough to reach out to those around you, but be sure to reach out to people that actually care, because they will set you on the right track. I like to think that our franchise business can not only give passionate football people a great career in the game that they love, it can also enhance many aspects of your life and provide an opportunity for you to experience positive mental health. I know that it has for me.